So Netivot Shalom Sefer Vikra, and our parsha is Kedoshim. Basically, we are now behind one parsha from Israel. Right? It's a leap year, so we're separating Achrei and Remot and Kedoshim, and we had two Yom Tov, the last days of Pesach, and in Israel Shabbat was a regular day, like an Isur Chag, so they were reading the parsha.
I think we catch up at what do you call it, Shavuos, just before Shavuos.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
The last parsha before Devarim.
Yeah. So we do Kedoshim. So איש אמו ואביו תיראו ואת שבתותי תשמורו. So the person should fear his mother and father and keep my Shabbases. And the Mefarshim, they were explaining about the smichut pasuk, like this verse is close, or is written close to the commandment, to the tzivui, kedoshim tiyu. Because these two mitzvot, elu ema inyanim seguliim, like they're capable, like a segula, to achieve with them the level of kedoshim tiyu, that we should be holy, like separated. If it says in Orach Chaim HaKadosh, שלכך נשמח איש אמו ואביו תיראו לקדושים תהיו, שזו סגולה לקדושה. So that's why these verses, according to Orach Chaim HaKadosh, said that they're written next to each other, or close to each other, that a person should fear his mother and father to the commandment of being kedoshim, because this is bringing you to that level of kedusha. It's a segula by doing that. According to what it says, Misham Anshe Emet, like the people of truth, שציור דמויות דיוקנו של אביו ואמו הוא סגולה לעיני טהרת המחשבה. So imagining and like having in your thought and in your mind the portrait, the shape of the father and mother, that is a segula to purifying your thought. ועל דרך זה, and according to that, we also could say, יש לומר גם בעניין סמיכות, also the verses that are close to each other, ואת שבתותי תשמורו, and you should keep my Shabbos. This is according to מאן דאית בראשית חוכמה, he said in the book ראשית חוכמה, שהשבת היא הדרך והשורש לקידושה. So that the Shabbat is the path and the root for the Kidusha. As it says, right, we have this psukim that we say in the Kiddush, ויברך אלוקים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו, that Hashem blessed the seventh day, and he sanctified it, make him kadosh. So the blessing of Shabbat Kodesh is v'yekadesh oto, that Hashem sanctified, was making it kadosh. That Shabbat is the spring. It says Shabbati me'ayin ha'kedusha, ma'ayan. It's the spring of kedusha. That all the matter of kedusha are being flowing from the Shabbat. Umaran hakadosh mikobrin zechoto agalenu, he said. This is like the beginning for the Mikra Kodesh, for the holy verses, for the holy Torah. So a Jew that wants to be called to the Kedusha should start from Shabbos, right? To keep Shabbos. That's the main thing, to start and do. And therefore, these mitzvot were nismechu, they were close to Kedoshim to you. Keep the Shabbos, fear the father and the mother, and be Kedoshim. Because the Torah is teaching us in the continuance of the being Kedoshim, what we can do or how we can do things that will bring us closer to the Kedusha, which is keeping Shabbos. And this is the mitzvot, to bring the Kedusha, according to what it says in the Holy Book, Divrei Moshe, Ma'arav HaKadosh, Rabbi Moshe Medolina, Zchoto Agelem. So he said on the pasuk, Ish imo v'aviv tirau, the person should fear his mother and father. It says it's known to all the one that are noda lechol habayim besod Hashem, right, to the secret of Hashem. Basically, it's like a Kabbalah or the inner thing of the Torah. So it's known to all the people that learn it, that each and every mitzvah that a Jew fulfill, even when it seems to be like a gashmiut thing, like a very, very pashut thing, very simple thing to do, but by doing each and every mitzvah, even the one that look to our eyes that they are simple, we are awakening that root of the mitzvah in the upper world. And by doing that, even when we don't feel it and we don't think about it, but doing each and every mitzvah, even the simple one, in the upper world, we're doing something, we're having an impact. And by doing that, the Kedusha will come to us. from the root of the mitzvah. And this is what it says, Asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav, that Hashem sanctified us in his mitzvot, right? We think that we're doing a favor to Hashem by keeping his mitzvot, which is totally the opposite. It's a favor for ourselves. And the mitzvah itself, the action of the mitzvah, it's not just a physical action that we do, but Hashem also sanctified us with the mitzvot. We make ourselves holy in his mitzvot, because their roots are planted higher and higher in the upper world, right? So we know that this world is temporary, right? And the world of asiyah, of doing, but there are other spiritual worlds besides the world that we live in here in this planet. And whenever we do something spiritually, we're having an impact. And in this deed, right, in the deed of the mitzvah, we are waking up the root in the upper world, and we bring ourselves the kedusha. And this is what they're explaining, according to our sages in Kedoshim. They said, Gadol ha-metzuveh ve'oseh, that a person that is obligated to do something is greater than somebody that is not obligated to do and is doing it. Which sounds a little bit weird, right? Like, I'm not obligated, so I'm doing it, so I'm even better than the one that he obligated, because he must do it. I don't have an obligation, so I'm on the contrary, I'm walking the extra mile. But he said, no, it's totally the opposite. Because there are a few explanations to that. One, the one that is obligated and is doing something, because he's obligated, then he's connected to the upper world. And by doing the mitzvah, he's actually bringing the kedusha. While somebody that is not obligated and is doing the mitzvah, it doesn't have any impact. So for himself, yeah, he did something, but it's not the same impact. And another reason that I learned that he doesn't mention here is that when we are obligated to do something, then we have the Yetzer Hara that is trying to prevent us. When you're not obligated, the Yetzer Hara said, okay, fine, it's not obligated, so who cares what he's doing? So, and this is also the inyan of mitzvat kibud av va'em. He said, even the other nation or other religion are fulfilling this type of mitzvah of honoring and respecting the father and the mother, but they're not obligated to do that, and therefore it's not connected to the root of the mitzvah. So for sure, they're doing something important, and it should be and everything. But we're talking here about the spiritualism, right, in Judaism, in our mitzvah that we do. So because of that, we are connected to the upper world. But when other people that from a different religion doing it, they're not connected. And we're doing that, why? Because Hashem commanded us. Even though it's the most making sense things to do, to honor your parents, because they brought you to this world and they invested in you and they woke up at night when you were screaming, changing diaper, etc., etc. But the main reason that we're doing it is because Hashem commanded us, that's it. The rest is like a side effect. So when we're doing that, in that action, we're actually fixing the root of the mitzvah, and we're bringing the kedusha again upon ourselves from that root of the mitzvah. And he also explained that the shoresh, the root of the mitzvah of kibud av va'em, he says, em abba ila'ah ve'ima ila'ah. Like it's the father, the upper father and the upper mother, right? So we're not talking about Hashem that is a father. Just some kind of a concept, a spiritual concept, that a father is the chokhmah and the mother is the bina, right? The father is like the intellect and the mother is the wisdom to understand one thing from another. And they have a tikkun for the first three ones. The midah of da'at, it said that level of the da'at, of the intellect, is like a general midah, a sphere. And also included in this midot, chokhmah ubina, right? Which, the acronym Chet Bet Dalet, which is Chabad, chokhmah bina da'at, right? So he said on a spiritual level, it's like the upper father and the upper mother, which is the bina and the chokhmah. And now it's talking about, I know it's starting to be a little bit complicated. The chokhmah, the intellect, is including all the lines or the midot from the right side, which is the chesed, kindness, is on the right side. And the bina, which is the wisdom, right, which is related to feminine, to a woman, again, spiritual, that's from the left side, which is the strength, which is the gvura. And therefore they're called Abba and Ima. Abba is from the right side, the influencer, the giver, and the mother is from the left side, the taker, the receiver. Chokhmah on the right side, and which is the intellect, and the wisdom, that on the left side. So he said in the same way that from a father and a mother you have children coming out, also from the chokhmah and the bina you have a spiritual children, which is the midot, all the other midot. And fixing the midot is by fixing the chokhmah and the bina, the wisdom, the intellect. And we find that when a Jew is fulfilling the mitzvah in this world, which is literally honoring his father and mother, like he's connected himself to the root of the mitzvah in the upper world, which is, again, this is related to the intellect and the wisdom. Everything we do here is doing something there. We have here explanation about why we need to do this, why we need to do that. But truly, these are all explanations just to keep us a little bit satisfied. Because otherwise, we don't understand what we need to do something. Like shaking the lulav, putting the tefillin, we don't feel anything. We don't understand like why we need to do that. But here is explaining about this thing that, and we can see that how it's really related to something upper there. And according to that, also we have the smichut. It's again close to each other, the mitzvah of kibud av ve'em lekedoshim tiyu. The ine mashmaut mitzvat kedoshim tiyu, the one that we're obligated to be kedoshim, to that mitzvah, it's not just a commanded to behave in kedusha, to pretend or to put, I don't know, a bigger kippah or dress or put a hat. But no, it's not just behavior. That's from the external. But all our being and existence and our reality should be in kedusha, even when we are alone. So kedoshim tiyu, this is how we should be. And this is also the meaning of all the other verses that the Torah is commanding us about the kedusha. And you should be a mamlechet kohanim vegoy kadosh, right? A nation or a kingdom of goy kadosh, right? Not only the behavior, אלא גוי שכל מאותו קדושה, but a nation that our existence, our being, our essence will be in קדושה. וכן אנשי קודש תהיו לי, will be people of holy, right? That all their existence is good. And how we can do that? Only when we are acting and behaving and we are fixing all the other midot. And to do that, we need to do the mitzvot here. And one good example was honoring our parents. Because that will help us, right? We learned in the beginning, that will help us to be closer to the Kedusha by doing that. And because it is affecting in the upper world the midah of the intellect and the wisdom, then our mind will be clear and we can think straight and understand things, understand the Torah, understand the learning, etc. And chas v'chalila the other way around, when somebody doesn't do that, that he doesn't get the proper intellect that he should have and the wisdom, and then he started to think rotten thoughts, and he's going off the derech and he's doing stupid things. And this is only for one mitzvah, and we have hundreds of them to do, right? 613. And he says, and therefore the mitzvah of kibud av ve'em, honoring your parents, is related to the kedoshim tiyu. And I think we're going to stop here somewhere. ועל דרך העבודה, יש להוסיף דהנה חוכמה בינה ובינה אם אהבה ויראה. So now he's adding another aspect to it. So the chokmah, the intellect, and the bina, which is the wisdom, are also related to ahava, love, and fear, right? So if the chokmah is in the father's side, which is the giver, right? So this is love. And the wisdom, which is related to the woman, this is fear, right? And we have chesed and gvura, kindness and gvura and strength. So אהבה ויראה כאחד, right? Love and fear is one. They're the perfection in avodat Hashem, right? We cannot have one without the other because it doesn't work well. As our sage says, Anochi velo yeh lecha, right? I'm Hashem, your God, and there will be no other God. Were spoken to us in one breath. So these are also the mitzvot aseh, right? The mitzvot that we should do, and the mitzvot of not to do. So the mitzvot aseh is coming from the love side, and lo ta'aseh, the one that we are forbidden to do, that comes from the yira. And together, they're perfection in avodat Hashem. And as we said, right, before any mitzvah, before davening, some of us will say, Leshem Yichud, right? Yichud is like to unite ourselves with Israel in upper world, and we unite our love and fear, and we unite our avodat Hashem all together. That's a preparation before we're doing a mitzvah. Because we have to do the mitzvah with love and fear. Because if we do it as a burden and we hate when we're doing it, it's better not to do it. Better not to do it. And if we just do it without fear, then maybe we'll do something wrong, but we shouldn't do. So only with them together and preparing. And it says, and when we are fulfilling the mitzvah of kibud ave'em, we are awakening the midah of ahava and yira, right? Not only the intellect and the wisdom, which is the chokhmah and the da'at, but also the love and the fear. And by doing that, we can achieve a level of kedusha. A little push. ועל פי דבריו הקדושים מבואר, so according to his holy word, it's explained that what our sages says in מסכת קידושים, it says, כבד את אביך ואת אמך. ונאמר, כבד את השם מעונך. And it's also said, like, okay, honor or respect your father and mother, and also it says, honor Hashem from your honcha. Honcha is like from your money. So Ishva Katuv, so they're like comparing, honoring the father and the mother to honoring Hashem. It says, Ne'emar ish imo v'aviv tirau, a person should fear, right, his father and mother, or mother and father. And it says, and also Hashem, your God, you should fear. So it's like, they're comparing both, fearing from our parents to fearing from Hashem. And it says, we need to explain. How come honoring and respecting our and fearing our parents is actually compared to fearing Hashem, Almighty, right? But according to what we just learned, that fulfilling that mitzvah is actually a waking up, a tikkun. It's bringing like a fix into the three things in chokhmah, binah, v'dat, right? The intellect, the wisdom, the sechel, right? And by doing that, we're also bringing the level of love and fear. And that's the key and the root for all our avodat Hashem, keeping Hashem, doing our job. And according to that, we should say, Inyan et Shabtotai Tishmor, that we should keep the Shabbos, according to what it says in the Reshit Chokhmah, in the book Shar Kedusha, that in Shabbat, there is a spiritual light, like three Rishonot, three levels of light. And because of that spiritual light, all the evil inclination and the sitra achra and the negative thing are all running away because they are afraid from Hashem and from His honor. And this is what it says in the book of Reshit Chokhmah, that the Shabbat is the root for all the Kedushot, right? We learn and we keep repeating that, because in Shabbat, the light of the three levels appearing, right? Spiritual. And also in Shabbat, there is a perfection of love and fear as one. As I just said, right? Zachor v'shamur b'dibur echad nemru. Right? To commemorate and to keep Shabbat, they were saying to us in one breath. And Zachor is love, which is aseh, right? And Shamor is strength, right? Fear. As it says, Beni u'beim bnei Yisrael lo tirulam, between us and Hashem, it's a sign forever. And also we know that the mate of Shabbat is us. And therefore we say in the Kiddush, Shabbat Kodsho, right, is holy Shabbat, Bahava uveratzon inchilanu, that Hashem, like we inherited with love and Hashem's will, the Shabbos, because the Shabbos is love. And also it's have the Shamor, which is the Yira. As it says in the Zohar, Bereshit Otiot Yira, right? In the letter of Bereshit, you have Yira, Yud Resh Aleph, right? Yira Shabbat, that we should fear Shabbat, not only peace and love. And we also explained the year of Shabbat is according to what it says, Maran b'Yesod ha'avodah zechoto ha'gelenu, that there is a fear that is coming from love. It's a higher level than fear the punishment, right? You do mitzvah or you don't do something because you're afraid of the punishment that will come. This is a very low level. A higher level is that you fear to disappoint Hashem, and this is out of love. You don't care about punishment. You just care about not disappointing Hashem, because you don't want to disconnect from Hashem. You want to please Him. And that's like the type of fear that we should have on Shabbat, not the fear of the punishment, fear of disappointing Hashem. Okay, so I think we can stop here and we will continue Be'ezrat Hashem Yitbarach tomorrow.